إنك حميد مجيد.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem. Welcome to another episode of Anhar. Anhar brings you various issues that are prevalent in our society, ranging from economic, social, and religious. So we'll be delving today into the topic how to bring up a righteous child. So a child means a lot. What does it mean? Child. We have Dr. Afzal Yusuf, the founder of Endeavor, for us to unpack this.
Yeah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, As-salatu was-salam ala asrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajmain. Of course, the topic of our children, I think, is seminal in our society for various reasons. Obviously, the most simple and glaring concern is building a future society, because all our children will be the ones who will be the leaders and the human resources for the next generation. And so it's a very important responsibility on us, today's generation, to make them become those good human beings, the moral human beings that will lead and sustain another generation of human beings. And this will go on and on. Obviously, there are so many changes that are happening in this world. And as we had said in many of our programs, changes are very fast in this new environment, in this globalized environment. Technology, people's attitudes, the concepts that we see are, moving from conservative to liberal to neoliberal. And as we go through this behavioral change, there are so many issues in bringing up children, because they are also going to be swept into this foray of change. And if we don't know how to manage change, for one thing, and how do we manage our children in this dynamic condition, we are going to have a hard time building the kinds of minds and bodies that will be the new generation. So I think in those ways it's a huge challenge for us, and we can go into a discussion on this, both of us. We are parents and grandparents now, so we have enough experience in this to say something from our own lives also. But beyond that, we can tap on what the great minds of human and child development says, and what we can get out of it as a developing country and also as an Islamic nation. So those two avenues are there. But both will have commonalities, and we will have special considerations when we consider our religious sensibilities.
Yes, a child requires holistic development. Any parent would believe the child won't be fully developed in the sense that all dimensions of the child's intelligence should be taken care of. Cognitive dimension, spiritual dimension, child's affective dimension, developing the right attitudes to life, to people, and also sense of responsibility, accountability, to live with others, to maintain relationships. So the child learns not to go to breaking points when it comes to maintaining kinship or maintaining collegiality within when the child, of course, collegiality comes later, but then this character molding should be happening when the child is of a tender age, at the tender age.
Yes. And I think it's so important that this human being that is born with all complete knowledge at all as far as character is concerned will grow up to be one of the most horrendous human beings also, and the best of human beings also. Obviously, somebody somewhere must have been doing something right or wrong for these two paths to happen. And perhaps that is the nature of our human existence also. We will have such the plethora of types of people, which makes life so complex and still so interesting also. That said, I think we have to take the point of how, when a child is born, the parents that must take the burden, or I'd say the pleasure even, burden of love, you could say, a labor of love, so to say. It is a labor. From the time the gestation happens, it's a labor. And giving birth to the child is also a great labor. And bringing up the child is also another great labor. So altogether, bringing up these children is a huge responsibility on us. And sometimes we give short shrift to this responsibility by feeling or not being aware that children are not small adults. Children are children. Children have their own ways of thinking, their character and their natural sensibilities are different to adults. And so they have to be guided. They are there to be guided. And that's why parents are there. And so one of the first questions somebody, which I never realized so true, was that before even you get a child, you must think of the child. The moment you get married, or before you get married even, who have you chosen to be the parent, the spouse, the girl and the boy, both? What kind of people are we? And so how can we bring up a good child, this righteous child? It can only be by us, the parents, having some characteristics also that will help that child to grow. I mean, immoral human beings cannot bring up moral human beings. It's very difficult. Of course they have a child. The child can, by miracles and whatever, these things can happen also. But usually the association would be good children come from good homes, good parenting.
Well, the children, as you said, the choosing a father for your child, choosing a mother for your child.
Absolutely.
That is a very visionary commitment. I think one has to have that vision of enabling a child to have good parents or responsible parents. So the fatherhood and motherhood doesn't just come overnight. It is a gradual process of very high degree of commitment and very noble commitment to rear a child, to bring up a child the way the child, it is beneficial for the child, the way in such a way so that the child benefits from the parents, the child is beneficial to the society, the child is of benefit to himself. So he doesn't ruin his future being vulnerable to his desires, temptations, and not to be dragged into bad influences around him.
Right.
So I think in that sense, any child is not, it's more than a responsibility for the parents. It is, they are leaving a legacy when they bring up a good child. And that legacy is going to make a lasting impression on them as well as on the society. And as Sadaqa Jariyah, it's going to, which is going to be of lasting benefit to them even when they are in their grave, if a good child is brought up.
Yes, that Islamic perspective is very important.
Yeah, that's the best thing a person, the best thing that happens to a child is, I think we can inculcate that the best thing that happens to a child is to become a Muslim. Because as a Muslim, you accommodate everybody in this world. You accommodate all the human beings, you value human beings, you value the animal kingdom, you value whatever creation is there. You attach value, there is protection, and there is a sense of responsibility for you as you live your life. So that being a Muslim, especially since we are Muslims, being Muslim parents, I think it's very important that we make children aware that they are Muslims, they have a very rich tradition. There is no reason why they should be apologetic about their traditions. Their traditions have civilized the whole world. Not for 100 years, for 200 years, for 300 years.
Do they feel apologetic?
For 1,000 years, over 1,000 years. And still it's
No, I'm just asking you, do they feel apologetic?
As Muslims, yes. As Muslims, the current wave after wave, of anti-Muslim sentiment, sometimes they are in the media. Sometimes black sheeps of Muslims are
So you mean to say many Muslim
projected.
children don't want to reveal that they are Muslims?
Apologetic in the sense that they don't appreciate the value of the Islamic tradition sometimes, and they try to subdue those values so that the dominant culture, the dominant values of the day could be felt.
So that's a big issue then. If we are having that, the media has a lot, and of course when we go to study abroad also, that importance can be washed away a little bit. And I think that's the part that parents should be responsible for, because if we don't have the universities that can nurture them to the degree that they want to be educated, then we have to send them abroad. And of course it's everybody's choice to go abroad to study or study here. But when you do go abroad, you are faced with a lot of challenges. That we must realize. But before we go to that, I think the important thing you mentioned about choosing a spouse is a very important thing. Because even before you get the child, you have to have a parent who will nurture the child. So if you're marrying, the boy or the girl must have that kind of leaning, who is serious about wanting a child, or the child, or the moral basis of wanting to bring up a child in the right way. That part, then you have half the battle won, I would say. But if you don't, if you just, of course, we get married for 4 reasons, as in Islam we have those 4 reasons. One is for beauty, one is for position in society, the birth factor, high birth. Other one is money, and the other one is about righteousness, right? So the righteous spouse is supposed to be the best one, because ultimately the beauty and everything will go away soon. So what remains is that righteous nature. So that is the inner beauty of anybody, the man or the woman. So if that is not thought of as a priority, then you will have a hard time later on.
Yeah.
Right? So then once you get the child also, then there is the other part about the psychological well-being of the child and bringing up and all those factors, as you said just now, about responsibility and morality and dependability. All those aspects have to be built in the home. You're not still going to school, in the home. So
and the conscience, the child should develop a conscience.
but the
very
child
strong.
can develop conscience only when the parents try to move them that way.
Yes.
Right? That's the
Not,
point.
not necessarily through professing something, mere professing something to the child, but rather living that what they profess. As parents, we should live what we profess.
So you say you must be a role model.
We
You
have
must
to be- we have to
really
be- we have to be role models.
live the life that you want the child to be.
Right.
Because you can't be immoral and then expect the child to be moral.
Yes. For example, keeping word and keeping one's commitment.
Trust.
Yeah, if I say I would do something, I would, some commitment. If I commit to do something, I should honor that commitment. So as children, the parents should be seen honoring such commitments, and being conscientious of their work, being truthful, being honest, being of upright character. So if that is there, half the battle is won.
Meaning the
If
parents,
Parents'
the
character.
household.
Parents' character, yeah, especially the parents, the household as well. So these character of parents will humanize children. Otherwise, they are dehumanized. They disregard and otherize the people based on what they like and what they don't like. And what they like and what they don't like are also determined by very strange sense of preferences, which are very much alienated from the society's values. So they develop the values through gaming, through their media interactions, which are very delusional, which is not going to benefit them in real life. And so to wean them away from such addiction or from such egregious attitudes, we have to inculcate those attitudes, the right attitudes, in ourselves.
So it's a huge challenge for parents, then,
Huge
especially
challenge.
in the modern world, as you say. So how have you done this, for instance? You as a parent, how do you do?
I don't regard, nobody should take me as a model parent. I think we are far below the standard as far as I see it. But I think the standard is there in our values, our traditions, our own traditions. And these values are humanizing the people. And even the environment, unless there is an environment created for the children at home, if the home is open for all the virulent
winds to blow,
all the detrimental stuff to be blown into the house, through all avenues, then the house will be overwhelmed. If the media is open 24 hours in the house, then the house will be, the values of the house will be contaminated. There is no room for them to.
Yeah. So how do you
improve.
For instance, you mentioned some time ago about business. Parents go for work and they're making money. They have to eke an existence, life. You have to build a life with, especially now with the monetized economy, the common denominator is money. So you have to have money for getting anything done. Previously, our lives were different. We could talk about how the difference before and now in Maldives, for instance. So this money, which means now, how have we become so dependent on having so much that both parents have to work? Is it because we are wanting things that are not really needs? Or because somebody else has it, we have to also have it?
There is a perception issue. For example, women are very well suited in terms of, they have an edge over men when it comes to professions like, for example, in education sector, especially grooming and caring for young children and educating them
in primary level,
humanizing them primary level especially, and also in nursing they have an edge over men sometimes because of the caring and the the overflowing, effusive affection and love and affection.
Well, that's by nature. They seem to be that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, women, I think, are very, very well suited to certain jobs, but it doesn't mean that that has to be sought after. I mean, every job has to be sought after by women as well. I mean, when we leave homes just to have a career, we are opening ourselves for what can be done by anybody and everybody. But a mother, nobody can become a mother unless you have the potential to become a mother. And nobody can feel for the mother, even though you are a woman. Any woman cannot feel for a mother, cannot be the mother. You cannot take up that role to replace the mother. But for example, you may be a manager as a woman, you may be a team leader as a woman, but you can be replaced by a man, by another woman. So motherhood is very special, and that effect, the effect motherhood brings, the deep sense of commitment. If what motherhood brings is amazing, it's going to last a huge impact in our society, very positively.
So when they are busy working in an office, for instance, that child will be handicapped and not having the mother with him or her. So what's the solution here? Women get into workforce, but would you say when they have a baby, when they have a child, should they stop for a while till the child is a certain age before they go to work again, or something like that?
Yeah, I think I'm not advocating for children to be taken along, or children to take along their parents to work. But we often tend to separate ourselves from children. We don't initiate children to accompany us as we do things in our society. We leave them behind, and this is not meant for children.
You mean work?
In our society.
When she goes to work, you want to take the child?
When she goes to work, or when we go to work as fathers, our culture is such that we very often, this is observable to anyone who would really want to do it. We tend to leave children behind and not involve children in our work. For example, in public service also, now mothers are bringing some children, very young children to offices where there is some arrangement for them to be looked after.
Childcare is available.
Childcare is available.
Okay, in that situation.
But in our life, in our regular life, we don't involve children. For example, if there is a lecture, we don't bring our children along. If we go somewhere, we don't take our children along, because the interactions are such that we have some adult talk. So we treat ourselves as adults, and as adults we talk very differently. So with this we take a break. After half time we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Thank you. Welcome back. Our topic is bringing up a righteous child. Dr. Sattar, what do you think of the challenges?
I think the challenges are tremendous with this modern world, mainly because we have so many things that mothers and fathers also have to engage in, and also gadgetry that the children also engage in, which takes away our time with the children. Because you can be in the house and yet not be with the children, because you are not interacting with them. The whole idea of human interaction is a very important thing. It is about relating to each other and responding to questions and answers in that way, to be relating. And so if children are with their handhelds or in their games, then you can't talk to them. Or if the mother is at work, you can't talk to her. Or if the father is watching in the house, but he is watching football or cricket, then the child is left by himself. So while all this entertainment and gadgetry have pervaded our households, unless we learn to manage those times, phone time, or watching TV time, or having time for ourselves to talk about each other, as a family to interact with each other, that is the experience that they will take as they grow up. Those are the memories they will have. Otherwise, their memories will be watching this game or having fun with playing against a game with another friend, for instance, nowadays, or just running through all these TikToks and shorties and all these things on the phone. You can spend hours. And this brings about this very important part of how righteousness and responsibility, accountability, all these good things, compassion, empathy, all these things are built by togetherness. And if you don't have time, then that is time you have lost in the child's life. If that is understood by parents and understood that every moment that you lose in the child's life, you can't get it back again. Time is gone. And so it's like an investment in the child. Or in business even, if you don't invest, you don't get the business running. If you wait for later to invest, then you'll have a much harder time to catch up the market. So in that sense, if you don't invest in the child's moral development, and that is an Islamic part, it's a very important. In the West, this is sadly going away because their religious base is also dwindling. The Christian values and all those things are now going down, and people don't go to church even, or these kind of Sunday schools and all these things are dwindling. And so, and Islam, for us, are we going to go that way also? Islam has a fantastic repertoire of wisdom in the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. Now, how do we transfer that to the child? It can be through telling the stories of the Prophet. It can be telling the love of Allah for the human beings. It can be told through Quran and the meaning of the Quran, and it can be through prayer and zikr and dua. All those things are there. But how do you integrate these into the daily life of our children? That is the trick we have to learn. It's not a trick, it's an approach that, because Islam is a religion that is lived, not just only spent in rituals, we cannot get away. And it's a great advantage for us as we live.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our traditions, as you said, our traditions is meant for the whole world, and the whole world has taken, accepted our traditions as the way of life for the whole humanity. For example, when we look at the history of Umar radiallahu anhu, when during his rule, Ibn Abbas, the young child of Abbas, Prophet's uncle, Ibn Abbas, later on he became the best known exegeticist, I think, of Quran, and very erudite young man. He was sitting in the company of Umar, in his majlis, in his.
And how old was he?
He was probably in his 9 or 12 years old.
Right.
So he had the opportunity to groom himself in the company of such righteous men. So the idea is, if we induct children to what we do, and we do sensible things in a sensible way, and not separate ourselves from the society, seclude ourselves for our own talk that has no meaning to the children, that has no meaning to anybody else. So if we were to achieve something good for the society, then we have to induct children to what we do so that they may grow and do better than us.
I think it's a very good example. It's a very good. I heard that Ibn Abbas that point from in another way also. Now he was little one. No? He was
there were many such children. Ibn Zubair also, okay. Ibn Abbas.
But he was 9 years old, and then he would be sitting there in the company of all Sahabas and all, and then his friends would call, "Come and play with us," and he wouldn't go to play with them.
Absolutely.
Because he is more interested in this, and because of that, he became such a well-known exegist of the Quran also.
And later on he heard the regret
of the others,
of the others who went to play and wasted their time. Well,
that will always be there. But there's at this point, as you say, also about maturity. I think we have discussed this some time ago in another program also, about physical maturity and mental maturity. Physical maturity is when we grow up to have certain, the periods and baligh in Islam. We say when the child,
they come of age.
Male child is coming of age and a girl child come of age. That is maturity. From that time, you will be considered as mature people. In the sense, adults, mukallaf, right? So, okay. Yeah. Now, from there on, but then, the other part is what I was thinking, that we baby our children too much, and we protect our children too much in bringing them up, in the sense that you don't allow... Too protective, in the sense that if they try to climb a tree also, then parents will be saying, hey, don't climb, you might fall down. Okay, even playing around or running around, hey, you might get tripped over this root or something like that of a tree. But a child's experience is what makes him mature. If you don't allow them to experience it, then okay, falling, it's okay for a child to fall down, but he'll learn from it, right? Or if he's in a fight, to lose in a fight, he will learn something from it. In an argument, for instance, you have to, these things. And that's where I want to talk a little bit about the times past and now. When we were growing up, families had about 8, 9, 10 children. And so we all grew up in that kind of household, most of us.
Where there was no loneliness.
No loneliness. They could play with each other, they could fight with each other, and learn lessons right in the household. Or the roads were not with motorcycles and cars, and it was just sandy street. They can just go out and play a game or kick around or run around, alilam, balilam, whatever you want, catch 5 flies or anything. But ultimately, they learn from those experiences. They go with their parents fishing also. When they are 13 years, they go on the boat. And they learn everything that is to be a fisherman. And the girl child also goes with the mother to Darukoshang or Farah, to the reef, all those. And so that's spending time with the child. They're interacting all the time. The boy is not going sleeping on the boat, or the child is not going sitting on a cool, shade where mother does all the work. No, the child does the work. In the house also the child does the work, and the boys also have their own responsibilities. And because of that, they are mature by the time they are 15, 17 years old, even to get married and raise a family. But right now for us, the thing is, our lives have changed into a Western model of education also, where you keep our children for all this time, 10 years in a room, and just bank information to pass a test.
And the Western education system is, I have a lot of admiration for the West as well, but I think critically about West as well.
It is good for them. It is good for them. It is good for them, my dear. It's good for them. But we must assess those before we assimilate it. And that's where the issue is.
That's where the lesson lies. And the way we define, for example, we have defined who is a child. We have raised the bar for the child very much. And one has to be 18 years old to go beyond the age of child to become an adult. So we are basically, by our definition, our legal definition, we have turned basically a mature person, a biologically mature person, and we regard, still, in spite of the biological maturity, we regard the person as a child. So which is absurd in a way, because we are imposing a certain definition because of a political perception or social perception.
Very true.
And at the same time, the education system is such that we are structuring the education system to go from nursery to A level, the grading of the system. So by the time they reach grade 12, they are 18 years old or past 18. So, but this is not, they are, this is, I think this can be much better structured. And there are, for example, our Islamic traditions have systems where at the age of 16, for the last 1,000 years, I mean until, for example, in British India, Muslim scholars used to graduate at the age of 16. They become Huffaz, they Quran Hafiz, they become Mufassir, masters in exegesis, Hadith traditions. They master everything, including mathematics, science, everything, all these disciplines. And they become polyglots as well, multilingual, Arabic, Persian, so many languages. So when English came, English as well. Unfortunately, we have reached the end of the time. Why don't you give us a remark?
No, I think ultimately it is about empowering our children, empowering. And that means that they must be able to stand up on their own 2 feet by the time they finish school. And that means it's not only focusing on these subjects and passing the exam, but learning life skills also that will help them to be independent. Independent in the sense of them being able to do the things that an adult can do.
So let them grow into an adult, don't let them grow into a child.
Absolutely.
At the age of adulthood.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
And
Dr.
so,
Sattar Yusuf. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching the program. Assalamu alaikum.